last week I learned something really fascinating from my teacher, Harabani Yemima Mizrahi. She was explaining that the Hebrew word for family, mishpacha, actually contains within it two words. One of those words is simcha, the word for joy, and the other word is pei, actually the letter pei. So she explained that if you want to have a joyous, happy, thriving family, and you want to be a happy, joyous, thriving person, to have simcha in your life and in your home, then the key to that is the pei, is your mouth. It's how you speak about your life and how you feel about your life. Whether you see your life in a positive way, you see your life in a negative way. So I wanted to just tell you something nice about something that I found, which adds a bit more of simcha into my own thoughts and way of seeing things. A few weeks ago, I bought these two beautiful paintings by artist Yochani Peptalk. And every time I see them, then they make me feel happy and feel more inspired about my life as a mother. So I wanted to tell you about these two paintings, which I keep in my living room. The first painting is one that I keep above my Shabbat candles, and I see it every week when I light my Shabbat candles. It says, Mi shetarach be'erev Shabbat yuchal b'Shabbat. The person who works hard before Shabbat, on Erev Shabbat, on Friday, will eat on Shabbat. And every time I light this, it reminds me. So after a long day, like most of us, Fridays are, the most stressful day of my week. Getting, doing a lot of cooking and cleaning, getting all the kids ready, and all the different things many things I have to do to get ready for Shabbat. Usually it's very, very stressful. Usually it's sort of like a bit of a rush until I actually light candles. And before I had this painting above my candles, sometimes I'd feel like that feeling of sort of overwhelmed stress, sort of borderline resentment even for how hard I'd worked, sort of lasts a bit into Shabbat. I'm just sort of trying to catch my breath even for the hour that Shabbat starts. But now what do? I light my Shabbat candles and I see this. I see Misha Trach be'erev Shabbat. I see the person who worked hard on Erev Shabbat will eat on Shabbat. I think, well, what does that mean? I think of myself and I think, I worked so hard on the physical level. I worked so hard on the physical level, cooking and cleaning and doing everything and chasing after the kids and doing everything that has to get done. I worked so hard, it means that now I'm going to really lechol b'Shabbat. I'm really going to eat on Shabbat on the spiritual level. Because I worked so hard on the physical level, now I'm going to have the highest, holiest Shabbat that there ever was. It makes me feel so happy. It makes me feel not like, the sucker who had to work so hard to get ready for Shabbat. It makes me feel like the person who, because I worked so hard, now I'm going to benefit more than anybody else. All the people who just sat the whole day and didn't do anything and just sat in cafes drinking coffee or whatever. Because I worked 100 times more than them, my Shabbat on the spiritual level is going to be 100 times more holy and high than theirs. It makes me feel so happy every time I see it. So the other painting I want to tell you about, it's a beautiful painting, also in my living room, which says Olam hafuch raiti, which means I saw an upside down world. And this is actually a quote from the Gemara, and it's one of my favorite quotes, and probably most of you aren't familiar with it. So I want to read you an excerpt from a book by Gila Mandelson, who talks about this quotation of the Gemara, which is actually how I first heard about it, and why I love it so much. It explains why I love this quote so much, and why it totally inspires me in my role as a mother. Okay? So she says this. And this is by Gila Mandelson from her book Head to Heart. Homemaking suffers from an absence of income and public recognition. Yet neither of these indicates spiritual worth. A top basketball star earns several $1 million a year, while those who saved lives during the Holocaust receive no reimbursement, nor do homemakers. The most meaningful jobs don't come with a salary, or at least not with a significant one, nor do they necessarily make one famous. As Rabbi Nachum Braverman once wrote, Mother Teresa may have won the Nobel Prize for caring for the sick, dirty, and helpless in Calcutta, but millions of unsung homemakers worldwide do the same in their own homes every day. The story is told of a sage whose son nearly died and had a vision of the next world before returning to this one. When asked what he had seen there, he said, Olam hafuch raiti. I saw an upside-down world. The upper was below and the lower was above. And his father replied, you saw a clear world. That's a quote from Baba Batra. The world of truth is the opposite of this world. In the world to come, so much of what society esteems counts for nothing, while spirituality, nurturing, and all else we dismiss mean everything. The same will be true in the Messianic era, history's next world. The role of women is to bring the values of the future into the present. Okay, isn't that great? So every time I see this Olam Hafuch Ra'iti, I remember that, that in the eyes of society, who's on top? It's the football players, and the billionaires, and the movie stars, and who's on the bottom? People like me. Moms who, either stay-home moms or moms on like sort of the mommy track, who are doing part-time work or have mommy-friendly jobs. But in God's eyes, us moms, the moms who are dedicating ourselves to raising our families and taking care of our homes, we're on top. When we get to the next world, when we get to the Messianic era, we will say Olam Hafuch Ra'iti. So I just want to bless all of us. These are two messages that I have found. Visha Tach B'Erev Shabbat Yochal B'Shabbat and Olam Hafuch Ra'iti, which I found extremely inspirational for myself. But I want to bless all of you, Mom. So you should find messages. You should find messages that inspire you, that remind you every day, like what an important job you're doing, how much nachas Hashem is getting from you, and what you're doing, and that you should place them in important places where you'll see them, by your computer, on your fridge, in your living room, like I did. And I want to bless all of us that through placing these inspirational messages, that we should be able to add simcha into every single Jewish mishpacha. I'm going to bless everyone with an amazing, amazing week.